Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Is this your first breakout? Who's first one? A few? Yeah, great. A good keynote this morning. I heard there were some amazing announcements. It was a great day. Thrilled to be with you. Partnering to capitalize on public sector innovation is our session. My name is Rebecca Weatherly. I lead our public sector systems integrator partners for AWS, and it's a delight to be with you here today. We've got a great setup for you. All right, let's see if I get this going in the right direction. No. Here we go. It's great to see you. Excited to be here. You're now at the most transformative technology event of the year. Welcome to reInvent. Let's get started. Before we dive in, I want to take a moment to just reflect on the past few years. Challenges of the pandemic, geopolitical conflicts, and certainly recessionary fears are happening all around the world. As the global community builds back to the new normal, we're going to continue to face uncertainty. But at the same time, these challenges have really spurred a wave of innovation and technology adoption, of which all of you are a part of. And that innovation is crucial to the recovery process. To prevent the entry of COVID into America Samoa, the government turned to our partner Data House, based out of Hawaii. They built a screening management system to ensure travelers clear safety protocols. America Samoa, Data House, and AWS helped increase the vaccination rate levels in that country to over 90%. The United Kingdom Security Agency for Health collaborated with AWS and our partner BJSS to bring its test and trace health services to the UK. In less than 2 months, the Health Services Security Agency launched a solution that today hosts more than 90 workloads and scales to more than 25 million users. The customer improved its agility to deploy secure services quickly that protect the health of the British population. Education is another area where our public sector customers and partners have accelerated massive transformation. In India, the education tech company BYJU's provided an education platform to over 100 million students during pandemic. And the world is not going back. Citizens continue to expect faster services, and public sector customers all want and need to serve the public with agility. Transformation is not optional anymore. Public sector customers want to build new technology capabilities. They want to consume new technology capabilities. They want to learn and plan and execute around technology. And according to IDC in September, their report, the U.S. state and local government cloud spending for the next 12 months is expected to accelerate across the board. And they have to do it quickly and with low cost. Economic and political uncertainty are certain an added complication to that. And business continuity for citizen services is absolutely critical. So how do we turn these challenges into opportunities in the face of uncertainty? Well, AWS and our partner ecosystem are certainly the answer. AWS offers the most cutting edge, the broadest, and the deepest set of services and capabilities. Customers can serve the public in new and informative, efficient ways. On-premises infrastructure, typically to get a server installed, it's going to take 10 to 12 weeks. Then you have to build out the surrounding infrastructure, build out your software capability. But in the cloud, you can provision thousands of servers in minutes with access to over 200 services. You can get from idea to implementation by several orders of magnitude faster. Last year in 2021, we launched over 3,000 meaningful services and features. There's even more on top of that after this week. That's 3,000 plus more capabilities that we are equipped to address customer needs with. And these capabilities mean agility. We have unmatched experience and maturity. In fact, for 16 years, folks, we've delivered cloud services to millions of customers. We have the most operational experience in the market. We have helped create a tectonic shift to the cloud. The number one reason people are moving to the cloud is also because of cost. You don't have to lay out capital expenditures up front for servers and for data centers. You can pay for things as you consume and create a variable expense model. The Special Olympics USA Games in 2022 had the biggest technology challenge in their organization's history. They developed a cutting-edge mobile fan engagement platform to serve 135,000 people in an economical way. By working with AWS and our partner SolaDev, the Special Olympics USA Games served those 135,000 attendees on their platform and saved 82% of their anticipated cost. That's pretty massive. Now, with public sector, security is a critical component. And I would say at AWS, it is our top priority. We offer more security standards and certifications than any other platform, whether that be PCI DSS, HIPAA or high-tech, GDPR, FIPS 140-2, or NIST 800-171. All 117 of our AWS services that store data for customers offers the ability to encrypt that data. All of this makes us, AWS, the best choice for resolving the public sector digital transformational challenges. So how can our customers accelerate their journey to the cloud? Who will be there to guide you on your way? We believe that's our AWS partner ecosystem. We have a large and dynamic partner community. We have more than 100,000 partners from over 150 countries, with more than 70% of those located outside of the US. Partners are the backbone to how we function and operate. There is a real network effect when you use AWS. When the pandemic first started, customers wanted digital transformation. They needed to help their teams to build, scale, and educate themselves to make these lifts and shifts into the cloud. It really did come down to partners and how we scaled. They help our customers feel confident as they're building on the cloud, especially if you've been in a traditional on-premises environment. You're kind of looking at the network effect here. The broadest, deepest platform leads to the broadest, deepest community. These systems integrator partners are a sampling of those that are accelerating great value for our public sector's digital transformation and creating long-term value for our customers. The North Carolina Division of Employment Security, their mission is to administer unemployment benefits and deliver consistent and high-quality services to both claimants and employers. Prior to the pandemic, the agency managed about 3,000 claims a week. During the pandemic, that need surged 20x the rate that they were used to working. The customer turned to our partner, Capgemini, to deploy a secure and scalable platform. The North Carolina Division of Employment Security scaled their system to support those initial surge claims with no downtime. They went from 500 sessions to over 200,000 sessions, and they were able to assist over 1 million claims to be processed in less than 7 weeks, and more than 1.7 million claimants were successfully paid. Way to go, Capgemini. ISV partners and SaaS providers will adapt their technology to work on our technology infrastructure platform. We have a vibrant collection of ISV and SaaS partners, and as you're moving to the cloud, you're going to want these capabilities. Within the public sector, we have 2,500 public sector ISV partners, and this is a collection of these software partners that really can help you leverage the platform. Our ISV partner, Zscaler, helps customers who need to replace VPNs, firewalls with zero trust, and access to secure business transformations. Pre-pandemic, the Australia Commonwealth Superannuation Corporation had challenges in providing remote access to their employees. Zscaler provided the foundation for a holistic system that included solutions for users, for devices and workloads. And the Commonwealth, secured with app access, saved over 200,000 Australian dollars annually by implementing the solutions from Zscaler. Now at AWS, about 90% of what we build is based on customer demand. And the remaining 10% is really focused on strategic interpretation of what we believe our customers will need. It is you, our customers, that truly inspire us. For example, back in 2013, we launched Redshift. And Redshift was for use with our customers that needed a data warehouse. So I'm going to highlight some additions inspired by other customer ask. In October, our nonprofit team launched our partner solutions in the AWS Solutions Library. We prioritize needs for our nonprofit space to include security, governance, compliance, backup and disaster recovery, data unification, enhancement, cloud call centers, and IT cost optimization. With these solutions, together with our AWS partners, now nonprofit customers can reduce their time to market, ensure they have appropriate regulatory compliance, and provide their donors, members, and beneficiaries with powerful new content and resources. A new feature that we launched to our AWS Ground Station service is the wideband digital intermediate frequency. Now, AWS Ground Station is a fully managed service for ground station for satellite communications to process data and scale your operations. You no longer need to build your own ground station yourself. Previously, we were limited to 1 gigabit per second with a single channel. Now, with this new feature, we can support up to 8 channels of data for a maximum aggregate bandwidth of 40 gigabytes per second. That's a huge feature. Now, in addition to these new solutions and features, security is a critical component to the innovation. We talked about that. There is a customer who has brought their innovation to the next level by creating a secure environment on AWS with an AWS partner. So I'd like to welcome Dr. Paul Avalock, the Assistant Professor of Biomedical Informatics at Harvard Medical School, to join me to talk about how he seemingly made the impossible possible. Thank you. Hey. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Rebecca, for having me here.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself and your work at Harvard.
Yes, so I'm, as you mentioned, I'm a faculty at Harvard Medical School, and what I do is in my lab in the Department of Biomedical Informatics, we work on integrating very large-scale clinical and genomic data to be able to find new subgroups of disease. And so the purpose is to find at the end new potential treatments, as it was presented during one of the speakers of the keynote with the immunotherapy, what comes before, how to find those potential targets that can lead to the new drug development. So that's how we need to integrate very large-scale clinical, genomic data, environmental data into one place to be able to do this. And I primarily focus on autism, rare disease related to autism, cardiovascular disease, and like also many researchers in the past 2.5 years, also on COVID, to be able to find new treatments.
Awesome. What were some of the challenges that prompt you to move to AWS?
Yes, so in my lab, we created multiple open source tools, solutions that enable us to do this integration of the clinical and the genomic data. I'm thrilled also to be able to also try AWS Omics that was presented earlier this morning. But we had a way to integrate this data, but the big issue is we didn't have the way to secure it, to make it available at very large scale into a very secured enclave. And so that's why there was a very big need of how to lock down the environment that would enable us to scale, to enable other investigators to access it into this very secure environment, because it's patient data. So we need to have, depending if it's from the hospital, from the university, to be able to have it into a highly secured environment.
So how did you do that? How did you go about securing that data in AWS?
Yes, so in the context of where we needed to reach different level of compliance, HIPAA, FISMA, HITRUST, FedRAMP, depending on the source of the data, the initial idea was how to get, and for a very specific project with the NIH, the National Institute of Health, we needed to be FISMA compliant. So in order to achieve this, I just went on AWS website, where there's the ATO page, Authority to Operate Partners, and looked at all the different partners that exist that enable us to help us to do this, to secure the environment. And there's a key, as I'm an investigator, cybersecurity is something that came afterwards, but the key is how to find a partner that can help us to do both things at the same time, of how to secure the environment on AWS and how to write the appropriate documentation that match what has been written, what has been built, to make sure that we were able to have something that makes sense. And so, because the documentation for FISMA is more than 800 pages of documentation. So we needed to build it, but also how to document it to be able to get the authorization.
So I heard you talk about HIPAA, high trust, FedRAMP, FISMA. Why are those so important for you? And what are the benefits that you get by having those ATOs in your environment?
Yes, so depending on how and where we store the data, for example, when we work in the hospital, for example, at Boston Children's Hospital, we have to be HIPAA and high trust compliant. When it's data that we host on behalf of the NIH, that's what we do at Harvard Medical School, we have to be FISMA compliant. And so, and what FISMA means is, at the end, for example, is creating a very secured enclave where all the data that comes in and out that secured enclave have to be very documented, all the process, to make sure that we know how everything is being built and how everything is being operated. Because something that was very important when I got this very large-scale grant to enable of this platform from the NLHPI, one of the very strong requirements from the CIO was it had to be operated by a professional team, not a research team. And we're partnering with the HMSIT, the IT infrastructure of Harvard Medical School. We worked on that, and they're the one operating the environment, in the FISMA environment. With my team, are the one creating the software that enables the large-scale integration of clinical and genomic data, but we needed additional partners to help us to create the environment that had this FISMA, and soon next year we have FedRAMP expertise, going to FedRAMP, to build the environment, but also to write the documentation, because writing that 800 pages was a non-starter for us, to be able to create this environment.
So what's the impact so far, and kind of how has the impact of being on AWS helped advance your work?
Yes, so and working with those partners and with AWS, definitely the major impact is we were authorized to operate. So we got the authorization to operate on FISMA, meaning that we were able to go live and making the infrastructure, a platform available to the world to enable the very large scale of the biggest clinical and genomic data set from the NIH being made available to investigators. And so without this partnership with AWS, with the partners, and with the HMSIT FISMA environment, we were not able to make all this happen. So it's really, and the key is now we have more than 80 different very large-scale clinical data sets with all the clinical data and the genomic data that is made available to all investigators worldwide to be able to analyze those very large-scale NIH cohorts. And so as we started with this project, and based on the success, we wanted to build something else in the context of how to create workspace environment. And that's how it's another solution that we created that gave birth 4 years ago here at reInvent. We're going through all the different booths of looking how we could create workspace environments and making those available for investigators with a few clicks of a mouse. So that's how the whole idea came 4 years ago, and then was built with the AWS ProServe team, creating a new AWS solution called Service Workbench on AWS. That first started in my lab on my GitHub repo, and then it became bigger and bigger and bigger, and then the ProServe team asked, do you mind if this open source project is now maintained by Amazon, which is the best thing that could happen, so that this project that enables to make the data available and the computing environment to a very incredible amount of investigators.
Yeah, I love that because we get inspired by our customers to innovate, but really, hopefully we've helped you to innovate as well. Are there any other ways that we've helped you to innovate in your work?
Yes, definitely. And with, for example, the service workbench example, something that was very important, and it took 1 year of discussion with AWS lawyers to make sure that this platform was not under the Amazon license, open source license, but under a real Apache 2 license. So this was the first AWS solution to be on an Apache 2 license, so to create real tools. So that's something that AWS helped me to create a new platform. And the best thing that can happen is now not managed by me, it's managed by the 8 full-time developers, which are an awesome team from Service Workbench that enables to create this very large-scale open source solution. And so so it helped me to innovate and create resource because I didn't have the manpower to create the platform with my developers in-house. So definitely this partnership was extremely valuable.
I love that, thank you. We know that security requirements are a critical component of all the operations. What are some of the lessons learned that you've had along your cloud journey, Dr. Avalak?
Yes, so definitely the cloud journey, where when I was presenting, up to 3 years ago, when I was making the various presentations, I was saying that I was cloud agnostic. I was working with 5 different public cloud providers. And I stopped to only work now with AWS. Why? Because I wasn't able to get the same level of cybersecurity with the other ones. And so that's one of the reasons. And also based on the partnership with this collaboration that enable us to work together to build the solutions. So I'm not working with the other public cloud providers, only focusing on AWS now, because, and at the end, what's really important is not which cloud providers, it's to pick one and do it through the full journey to make sure to be able to be impactful by creating something that scale in the context of the security, but also in the context of the innovation. And so really I think the biggest lesson is the partnership that with all these different collaborators that was made possible through this collaboration that enable us to create new tools that making data available to be able to do very concrete research for finding new drug therapies.
Well, that's a very powerful way to close, Dr. Avalak. We are so grateful for your partnership and especially being part of being able to solve for complex diseases and the important work that you're doing. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, that was awesome. All right, well, I'm going to welcome my colleague Mike Kennedy, the Director of AWS Partner Programs, to the stage to kick us off for the last part. Awesome. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Rebecca.
Uh-huh.
Hi. Check. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, Rebecca, and thank you, Paul, for being with us. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Kennedy. As Rebecca mentioned, I'm the Director of Partner Programs here at AWS Public Sector, and I'm really excited today to get to talk about programs and how we use programs to accelerate our partners' work within customers. And remember, if you're a partner in the audience, these programs can apply to you, but also if you're an end customer in public sector, these apply to you as well, because these are how partners build capabilities and then accelerate to help solve your needs. So what you see here on this slide are programs that are commonly used in public sector and that we're seeing a lot of success with in public sector as well. And you may notice that we organize them by the stage of the partner. So on the left, we have programs that help our partners build capabilities. We call that build it right. In the middle, we have programs that help our partners market and differentiate those capabilities. And then on the right, we have programs that then help the partners actually go sell and bring those capabilities so that our end customers in public sector know all about them and again, can solve their needs. Now, I'm going to start by looking at the programs on the left, which again are Build It Right. This first program I'm really excited to present because it's a new one for us. It's called Solution Spark. We launched this program in just July of this year after a successful 9-month pilot. What this program does is it helps partners build solutions more quickly than they could have done on their own for common public sector needs. And what we actually do is really cool. So our engineering team builds open source building blocks for these partners, and those building blocks are about 80% of the way there. And then the partner builds on top of those building blocks. It could be a proprietary application layer, it could be managed services. They build on top of them in different ways, but we give them a jump start to get going. And then the benefits that the partner receives are, number one, they unlock new revenue streams. Number two, they do build solutions faster. Sometimes they use it to enter new public sector industries, and then ultimately they're taking those solutions to our end customers and helping them solve their challenges. Now, I always like sharing examples of some of these programs because I think it really brings them to life. So this is a partner named MyApp Software, who's actually based in Guatemala, and what they're doing with the program is really interesting. So they're using one of those building block open source solutions that I mentioned from AWS Engineering, and the one they're using is called Performance Dashboard. And that is actually an analytics offering that provides data, and they use it to provide more data to their government customers who then publish that data to their citizens. Since July of this year, MyApp Software is actually bundling that solution in all of their opportunities as a value add. And you can see since July, they've had 22 won opportunities through this solution. They also tell us, MyApp Software also tells us that not only does this add differentiation to what they do, but they use it as a door opener for new areas of expansion for their business. So if you don't know about Solution Spark and you're a partner, I think it's a really interesting one. And if you're a public sector end customer, be on the lookout for partners bringing you solutions and jump starts for common mission needs. Up next, we're going to talk about the critical area of containers. According to Gartner, by 2025, 85% of large enterprises and mature economies will use container management. So just a critical area. And as of today, about 2/3 of all containers that run in the cloud run on AWS. Now we're hearing from partners and our end customers that they're seeing a shift to containers from EC2 instances. So we're getting a lot of asks for technical assistance in that area, and that's where the Rapid Adoption Assistance Program comes in. PS customers, public sector customers, can benefit from containers that are brought to them from partners through this program for critical applications to give them benefits such as better fault tolerance and agility. Through RAA, we offer dedicated partner development to support and simplify containerization of your offerings. To date, RAA has helped 100 partners, including partners you probably know, such as Leidos, Deloitte, Accenture, and IronNet. And here you can see how the program helped Credence Management Solutions as well. So if you're interested in containers and the value of containers, this is a really great one to get more assistance and to get started. Now, those are just a couple of examples of programs that help partners build it right. And now we're going to transition to the next phase, which again is market to sell and differentiating your offerings. So just as a reminder, all the programs that we launch are based on partner and customer feedback working backwards from their needs. And we hear from partners and customers that customers not only want partners that understand their industries in public sector, but they also need help with security, privacy, and compliance requirements. That's where the GSCA program comes in. This was formerly known as Authority to Operate. Some of you may know it that way. The focus of the program this year has really been all about international expansion. The GSCA team has supported 46 AWS customers this year in achieving compliance standards around the world. These are frameworks you may know, such as Canada's Protected B, Australia's IRAP, Germany's C5, Spain's ENS High. There are many of them around the world, but we have experts that are helping partners and then customers reach these compliance requirements, critical in public sector. Now, we're also hearing from our partners and our customers that they want to see AWS partners working with AWS ProServe to collaborate together. ProServe Ready is a program that we launched in response to that request. What this program does is really, really important. So it actually goes out and we work with partners and we train them on AWS professional services best practices so that partners can work alongside our own professional services, and then the partners can bring their own technical superpowers with AWS professional services, and they really bring the best of both worlds together for those customers. This program, some of you may know, was launched last year, and it started in the United States and in EMEA as well. We're excited to announce that recently we have expanded the program to Japan, Singapore, Australia, and New Zealand as well. So really excited for the continued expansion here. And again, this is all about partners working with AWS ProServe to jointly deliver for our end customers. All right, so I'm really excited to talk about this one because it's also very new. We just launched the AWS Smart City competency 2 months ago in September. And the reason we did that is because the future of cities in the world is that they will be smart. Actually, if you look at industry data, by the year 2050, 7 out of 10 people in the world will live in cities. 7 out of 10 in the world will live in cities. So it's critical that cities are environmentally sustainable, that they're efficient, that they're smart, they leverage IoT, and we are hearing from governments and in customers that they need help from partners that have smart city solutions. But customers also share with us, we don't know where to get started. There's over 100,000 partners in the APN. How do we know which ones actually have solutions in this area? And that's what competency programs are designed to do. They really shine a spotlight on partners with certain capabilities. And so we launched this program, again, in September. We started with 9 partners, and now it's growing rapidly. Those partners are from all over the world. And what it does is it identifies partners with strengths in those areas so that customers can lean in and work with them. Here's a great example of one of our launch partners from the Smart City competency. This is a France-based partner called Via Nova, and they actually did an incredible project with the city of Brussels. So the city of Brussels was exploring how do they get more efficient with transportation within their city. They were looking at shared mobility, which you can think of as things such as e-bikes, e-scooters, really any alternative to driving a car to work. And they're trying to figure out how do we build additional bike lanes and get more efficient so we're less dependent on cars. So AWS partner Via Nova stepped in and they created a mobility dashboard for the city of Brussels. This allowed Brussels to intelligently plan out 40 additional kilometers of bike lanes across the city. This went so well for them that they saw the increase of bike usage go up by 500% after the project. So what a great benefit for the city, and definitely replicable for other cities as well. So just one example of how important smart cities are and how much demand we're seeing that from our customer base. Okay, next I'm going to transition to another really interesting program. Some of you may know this one. It's called Think Big for Small Business. This program helps our partners that are small, medium-sized enterprises, generally which we define as 150 employees or less, or minority-owned or female-owned partners. This is a critical segment in public sector, and actually, according to the World Bank, over 50% of public purchases worldwide are done with small and medium-sized enterprises. So this is not only a doing good program, it's a program we like to say that's also really critical and good for business as well. Now, we launched this program in April of 2021 last year, and the interest has been incredible. The partners that have joined in have won 1,200 opportunities with AWS since joining the program, so we're really starting to see those business results. And today we have over 400 partners that are in the program, and that is growing rapidly. Now, it's always best to hear from partners themselves who are actually using the program, so I'm going to show you a video here in a minute about Solil. Solil is a US-based, woman-owned, and small business partner. Solil graduated from the Think Big for Small Business program. So we're going to hear from Quinn Lee, who's the CEO of Solil, via video.
My name is Chen Lee, and I'm the president of Solil LLC. Solil is a woman-owned small business supporting the U.S. public sector successfully for well over a decade. Yeah, we're really considered as a small business leader in the cloud engineering, software development, cybersecurity area, and we've been supporting, again, the public sector and also DoD customers on many mission-critical programs. The Think Big for Small Business program is really a game changer for Solio. But what that Think Big for Small Business program gave us is this acceleration, the access to the expertise that AWS offers and our ability to translate that directly for our customers quickly for their modernization effort, for their efficiency, for their cost savings. Being in the Partners program gave us those three things. Number one is the operating efficiencies. Number two is the cost savings for the customers. And then number three is their improved security posture. I think the Think Big for Small actually is a great tool for us to improve our team's technical competency. So now we have the same level of access to those big companies and resources from Amazon that sometimes is very hard to come by. So that's very powerful. We have a very strong technical team, and with the Think Big for Small program, it really just amplified that, and we're able to deliver so much more for our customers. Solio's relationship with AWS has really evolved and got to a whole different strategic level, I would say. Before it's more transactional, but with this program being part of that, we can strategically position ourselves to our customers for their current needs and their future needs, answer their big migration challenges. So it's really critical, and we're fully committed to that.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully that example brought the program to life a little bit for you. And again, we're seeing great traction with Think Big for Small Business. Now I'm going to transition to the last category on the right, and that's how we help partners sell their offerings to bring them to public sector end customers. ISV Accelerate is a co-sell program for AWS partners who provide software solutions that run on top of and/or integrate with AWS. What this program does is it really helps our software partners co-sell with the AWS sales organization as well as accelerate their cycles. This leads to a better experience and better outcomes for our end customers because they see a unified selling motion from AWS and our partners. Just to give you some examples, our field is working with software partners in a ton of different areas that help our customers. It's things like security, DevOps, it's data storage, it's container management, it's migrations. But again, this is all about the AWS sales field and our partners selling together. An example of a partner who's benefited from this program is Lacework. They've been using the program to drive their sales in the field, and they've shared with us that they've seen 3 times revenue growth in the past year, and that's for the second year in a row. They've said, and they shared with us, that AWS co-sell has been key to their go-to-market strategy. Okay, so you all know that customers care about lowering their operating costs, but customers are also sharing with us that they want to lower their initial migration costs as well. We've invested significantly in a lot of areas to help partners with migration, and the MAP, or the Migration Acceleration Program, or MAP, is how we help customers along their migration journey and offset those upfront costs. Okay, so now I'm going to transition gears a little bit into a really exciting area, and that's startups. So some of you may or may not know that we work really closely with startups here in our public sector division. In fact, we have a team called AWS Worldwide Public Sector Venture Capital and Startups, and they help startups work with public sector end customers specifically. What we do is we bring in and sometimes recruit startups to actually help solve challenges that we're seeing in the marketplace. And then we launch accelerators to actually bring those startups in. Today we have accelerators in 4 specific domains related to public sector. We have space, sustainable cities, healthcare, and defense. I'm going to talk a little bit about each of those. To start with an example, there's a partner named Smart Helio that is a deep tech clean energy startup in Switzerland. Their goal as a company is to accelerate the adoption of clean energy. They were one of the inaugural members of an accelerator we had called the AWS Clean Energy Accelerator. They said that this accelerator helped grow their business, introduce them to customers and new investors. We have 2 new exciting accelerators that we wanted to share with you today as well. Earlier this month, we announced the first ever global AWS Healthcare Accelerator. The startups that are going to be in this accelerator are focused on a very significant and specific challenge within healthcare, and that's actually workforce. These startups are going to be helping healthcare employees upskill and drive new staffing and training to develop workforce gaps in healthcare specifically. So really exciting area, more to come, and startups in this space can apply today. The second accelerator we wanted to highlight is sustainable cities. And you can tell there's a theme here, right? Doing a lot around sustainability. This was recently launched, and we already have 10 startups that have been selected to participate in this accelerator. So look out for more information on these. And if you're a customer interested in working with the startups, please let us know. Okay. So thank you for letting me walk through our partner programs across these 3 areas and how they're helping partners accelerate and differentiate their business with us. But I think it's always best to hear from a customer themselves that has worked with the partner. You heard Paul from Harvard Medical School, and now I want to introduce Nicole Natowski, who I'm going to say a little bit about as she walks up on stage. Come on up, Nicole. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you for being here, Nicole. Nicole is the CIO for the National Resident Matching Program, also simply known as the Match. She's been CIO since 2011, and in her role, she provides vision and leadership for the strategic development of information technology across the organization. So thank you, Nicole, and welcome.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, sure.
So do you remember the anticipation you felt when you were waiting to hear where you got into university, undergrad, or grad school? Well, today's physicians have a similar anticipation as they wait to hear how they got into residency. You may not have heard of us, our little niche matching business, unless you have friends or family that are physicians. We run this little match business for 70 years now. We're a nonprofit, and we were established in 1952 at the request of medical students who hoped to match their preferences for where they wanted to train with the preferences of the teaching hospitals where they wanted to do their residency. I'm excited to be here today to tell you a story that's decades in the making and how AWS and our AWS Premier Partner, Paraveda, helped us build a world-class service. So let me take you back, not quite 70 years, but how about 25, where a mainframe, a DOS-based system, the newspaper, and the US Postal Service played a critical role in delivering our service. Back in 1996, you awaited the delivery of the USA Today and could open it and find a PIN code to let you know if you obtained a residency position. Alternatively, you could wait by your mailbox for a match letter delivered by the Postal Service to see where you were going to train for the next 4 years. Today, though, you can just look at your phone or tablet or attend a match day ceremony at your medical school to find out where you were going to train. Here's some excited faces opening those letters at their match day ceremonies. These are today's featured physicians, your pediatricians, your internists, your dermatologists, your radiologists. They all go through our program that you probably never heard of. What hasn't changed over the past 70 years is both parties have preferences. The applicants interview and determine where they want to go, do their residency training, what might be a good fit for them. And the residency programs interview hundreds of applicants for those positions and determine who they want to welcome to their program. Both parties wait in anticipation for this match result announcement, and our matching expertise and our mathematical algorithm are still core to our business. So let me get to the most important part of our story and why I'm here today. Let me take you to the year 2015, and that was 4 years after NRMP was on the private cloud. We thought we were quite groundbreaking after coming from an on-prem data center, but it became apparent quickly that we were outgrowing the bounds of that architecture and infrastructure. It was difficult to maintain, it was expensive to expand, and it was maxed to capacity at certain times of year and near idle at others. So NRMP looked for a partner, one that could energize us and convince us that getting to the real cloud was possible. That's where Paraveda came in. We presented Paraveda, our AWS partner, with our problem. We said we needed to increase capacity and provide performance for a solution that we've been counted on for decades. And the solution had to be viable for the long term. So the next 6 months were an exciting journey. The business of matching 50,000 residents every year to their graduate medical training program is very cyclical, as you can imagine. Therefore, capacity needs and performance demands ebb and flow. Understanding these key needs, Paraveda put together a plan for us to migrate to the cloud. Being able to scale EC2 instances and resize our RDS database were crucial to our service, both for performance and for our balance sheet. Our move to AWS also enabled us to build a robust disaster recovery environment. This disaster recovery environment was also geographically dispersed from our production environment. It was amazing for us to be able to do that. It was cost prohibitive in the private cloud. We saved hundreds of thousands of dollars moving to AWS, 40% in our hosting cost, in fact. And that was a significant amount of money. We're a little nonprofit with just $12 million in revenue. Over the next 7 years, we saved another 30%. With our partner Paraveda, they helped us hone and tune our solution. We conducted a well-architected framework review with AWS, and we leveraged reserve instances. All this building a reliable solution that we can count on for decades to come. So what are we doing now? NRP is building on their 70 years of matching expertise to deliver a modernized service to the public sector. Our vision is to provide the same fair and equitable service, these transparent matching service that we've become to be known for, to the government, education, and other nonprofit organizations. So about 2.5 years ago, we approached Paraveda, and we said, we want to build a minimum viable product that we could take to market. And they helped us build and design a cloud-native serverless solution. We call that product iMatch, and it uses over a dozen AWS services: Cognito, Aurora DB, DynamoDB, the containers we've heard so much about. And what I think is one of the most exciting services is the Lambda serverless backend. If I could drop a mic right now, I would. It scales as needed, okay? So, what's so exciting, or what I would like to tell you and give you some advice about here today, is that you need to start this journey now. You will be amazed as what can happen if you enlist the help of an AWS partner like we have. They will ignite your cloud journey. And then once you find that partner, leverage that relationship. That partner will enrich your perspectives and augment your in-house skill sets. Finally, lean into the technologies you've heard about at this conference. It will help your vision become a reality. NRP's future is bright, and we owe a ton of gratitude to AWS and Paraveda Solutions for helping us further our mission. Thank you. To you.
Thank you so much, Nicole. It's always awesome to hear how customers are working with partners to drive joint success, and that was a really good example. Okay, so over the next 5 minutes or so, I'm going to close this out, and I really want to talk about one key area that you've seen as a theme throughout this presentation, and then we're going to talk about next steps and some opportunities ahead. By the way, here's a little bit more information on the match from Nicole's presentation if you'd like to look at this too. Okay, so you've heard a lot throughout this presentation about the topic of sustainability, and we wanted to start out by sharing some data that just recently came out. So as many of you know, Gartner actually conducts an annual survey with CEOs and top executives, and they try to determine what are the top 10 priorities for those executives as they look towards the next year. This year in 2022, for the first time, environmental sustainability now is in the top 10 of those executive focus. And the good news is that sustainability is also in our focus at Amazon and has been for some time. Some of you may know that in 2019, Amazon co-founded what we call here the Climate Pledge. What the Climate Pledge is Amazon's commitment to reach net zero carbon emissions by the year 2040. Now that's actually 10 years ahead of the Paris Climate Agreement by 2040. So that's been our commitment that we're driving against. And to date, we're also getting other companies to join us in that pledge. We have companies from over 300 companies in 35 countries who've joined us in the Climate Pledge. So please think about going back to your company and joining us in the pledge as well. Now, I think beyond this pledge and these commitments, one thing that's important to remember about the cloud is that it can immediately bring more environmental benefits than running an on-premise data center. Actually, there's third-party research, such as research organizations like 451, that has shown running workloads in AWS compared to the median data center in the US is actually 3.6 times more energy efficient. So just by moving workloads to the cloud, there's an immediate environmental benefit as well. Now, we're also working hard at AWS to provide our partners and customers with tools in this area. We have something called the Carbon Footprint Tool that actually calculates carbon emissions generated from AWS usage. I think what's really cool about this is we're hearing from partners and from customers that they're building it into their own dashboards and their own capabilities so they can report out on their carbon emissions for various commitments they've made as well. Now, it's also important to note that environmental sustainability is only one type of sustainability. There's also social and economic sustainability as well. The cloud can empower communities to prepare and respond to the unexpected. We call that disaster response. We work with our customers and partners quite closely in this area. Now, one thing I didn't know that I found out through this presentation is that globally, there's actually about 20,000 earthquakes per year, 20,000 across the globe. And local governments spend a lot of money trying to detect and know when those earthquakes are coming. So we have a really cool example from a Mexico-based partner called Grio that's actually developed sensors to help significantly in this area. So I have one of their sensors here, and what they're actually doing is they're putting these sensors with governments all over Latin America. They have them in Puerto Rico and Chile, they have them in Mexico, and they are making the cost of early detection of earthquakes significantly lower and much more accessible than what it was before. So when you think about sustainability, it's definitely environmental sustainability, but there's other things such as early warning detection that can be used through the power of AWS Cloud as well. Okay, so perhaps the most exciting point that you'll probably hear a lot from us this week, but it really is just the beginning. Since AWS launched 16 years ago, we have seen a fundamental shift in the way businesses are operating. But if you look at third-party analyst research, they tell us that only somewhere between 5 and 15% of IT spend has moved to the cloud. So if you really think about that, what that means is 85 to 95% of the spend out there has that much more potential and isn't even on the cloud yet. So that's an opportunity for public sector customers and our partners to help those customers, and really an opportunity for all of us. So please lean on the AWS Partner Network. They have capabilities. You've heard great examples today of how they can help customers move to the cloud faster. We know it's a continuous process. You can meet a lot of those partners in the Venetian Expo Hall this week, especially our sponsors. We also have booths there where we will answer APN questions and help you in this area as well. And with that, I hope you enjoy your first reInvent, or your reInvent this week, whether it's your first or you've been here for many. We'd love for you to connect with us. You can do that through this QR code here. And please share with us your feedback on how things go this week. And we look forward to continuing to work with you in public sector. So thank you very much and have a great week.